Welcome to Political Beatdown. I'm Ben Meiselas, joined by Michael Cohen. We've got a lot to get into today, so let's just get into it right away. MAGA Mike held one of these disastrous press conferences this morning as the government shutdown caused by Donald Trump and MAGA Mike continues. 20 million Americans about to get kicked off their health care, 42 million Americans about to lose SNAP. But MAGA Mike Johnson says, people keep coming up to me and saying, you look really tired. MAGA Mike, where's that happy warrior that we know? MAGA Mike, we want that happy warrior back. MAGA Mike. Here, play this clip.
And here in Washington, the work has gone on in earnest as well. People keep commenting to me, you look so tired on TV. I am so tired because we're not sleeping a lot. We're working overtime. Here in Washington, our House committees have continued to conference together and do all the work we can to ensure legislation is ready for the floor for action as soon as we get back to legislative session.
I swear the group of MAGA Republicans behind him, we're all just getting punked. This is actually a Saturday Night Live skit. And this would be hilarious if it wasn't so harmful. If they weren't ripping away people's health care, ripping away people's SNAP benefits, destroying our democracy. I mean, I'm looking at this crew behind him. I'm going to show you this next clip. Look at these human beings who are there. These human beings who are the ones destroying your lives watching this. You've got Harriet Hagman. She took that Liz Cheney seat, and she's the one who she walks around the house with a freaking lasso, and she looks like George Santos's doppelganger. I don't know if this is even politically correct to say, but I swear she's actually George Santos. Just watch her right here. Here, play this clip.
We're in uncharted waters as a nation. As we say up here all the time, we're so tired of making history. I just want normal times, normal Congress again. But the Biden administration...
Yeah, could you imagine too? But they're all doing it, Ben, in Jesus's name. We're going to strip 40 million people of their health care, 17 million of whom are children, elderly. You talk about the most vulnerable. But as Jesus would say, sorry. I mean, that's the attitude that they are taking, but they are doing it while holding a Bible. I mean, if that's not irony in and of itself, then I don't really know what is.
I mean, Cohen, you're telling me that Jesus wouldn't say while Americans are starving to death, as Americans are going bankrupt and losing their homes, defaulting on their credit card payments, having their student loans in default. You're telling me Jesus wouldn't go around and go, young man, there's a place you can go. I said, young man, the Trump, you see Trump doing the Epstein dance out there in freaking Malaysia. I mean, when this guy goes around, I mean, for me, I never wanted to be involved as a political person. I really didn't. And I was never a political person when I was a lawyer. I represented Democrats. I represented Republicans. I represented independents. I represented people who didn't give a shit about politics. When I just watch this behavior, I'm thinking to myself, these are weird humans, and they're bad people. Their weakness masquerading as strength, and they're objectively hurting the country. And I watch them. It's like, MAGA Mike, so you've found ways to fund ICE and Border Patrol disappearing people off the street. You've found money to pursue Trump's fascist agendas in other ways. So, SNAP, literally 42 million Americans rely on SNAP to afford their groceries. Otherwise, they'll starve. It's actually a striking number when you think about that number, just in general, that 42 million Americans are on SNAP. But MAGA Mike, what are you going to do about SNAP? He goes immediately to blame Obama. Here, play this clip.
The White House was able to find funding for the military military, for WIC, for farmers. Should the White House now be able to find some funding for the SNAP program if they've done it for all these other ones?
They certainly tried. I mean, one of the reasons that this shutdown has not yet been as painful as it might otherwise have been is because the president is bent over backwards, the administration. Think of it this way. The White House, the executive branch in a shutdown, has a large control panel full of dials. Under the Obama administration, they turned those dials, the pain dials, to 10 immediately. You remember it was so egregious to us. Speaking of our veterans, I mean, they put yellow crime tape around the World War II memorial so that people who'd served their country could not go visit the memorial. They wanted it to hurt. The Democrats have shown, and they've said in their own words, this is leverage. It gets better for them every day. They don't mind inflicting pain on the American people if they can somehow get some sort of political points out of it. The Republican Party is the opposite. And President Trump has proven that. Every day of this shutdown, he has tried to move funds around to find unobligated funds to cover the bases.
So look, Michael Cohen, in 3 days, Americans are going to get notices, if they haven't already, from their insurance company about the open enrollment period for their healthcare plans. And what they're about to see is that it wasn't a political talking point by Democrats to say your healthcare costs will go up $24,000 a year. It is the reality. And I know for MAGA, because they live at Club Rose Garden or Mar-a-Lago or whatever, they don't understand, or they do and they're malicious, what people are going through in this country. But when Donald Trump's out there, like he was in that Japanese naval base or the American naval base in Japan, and he says, we've defeated inflation. Every American is doing great. Actually, Donald.
Ben, you know, we were just talking about how these bullshit Bible preaching assholes are out there. I really think it's important for our brigaders to understand the conversations that you, Ben, and I have when we talk about what can we all do in order to help to limit the pain that 42 million Americans, 17 million of whom are children, and maybe 17 million are elderly. And then they go back to the Bible and they start preaching. Now, I don't know what chapter or what verse it is, but one thing I can tell you is there is a part in the New Testament where it's stated that when you refuse to help the least of these, my brothers and sisters, you are refusing to help me. And that's in Jesus' name. And I don't really understand how those who call themselves Christian or just religious, it doesn't make a difference in all fairness, because we have the same in the Jewish tradition of helping those that are less fortunate. I cannot imagine that people like MAGA Mike Johnson with his fake proselytizing is able to get away with it, that pastors and clergy aren't getting up and saying, for somebody who walks around holding and preaching the evangelicals, exactly, Paul, to those, walking around and saying, you can hold the Bible. That's great. But maybe you ought to start reading it. Maybe you ought to start following it. Maybe you ought to start, whether you're Christian, Jewish, Hindu, Muslim, makes no difference. In every single religion, it turns around and talks about helping those who are less fortunate. And then right now, with what we're seeing coming out of this administration, coming out of the mouth of MAGA Mike Johnson and others, we are doing the exact opposite. Let me rephrase that. They are doing the exact opposite. And in order to even ensure that Americans, that their brothers and sisters, the young, the old, the unable, are not going to have food in their cupboards, they shut down government. And what do? Deflect, blame it on the other guys. It's their fault. They won't sign a clean CR. I have a real problem with that.
Cohen, if I stole $1,000 from you, let's say I walked into
Dude, I beat your ass silly.
let's sit, but I then came back
That's because you
and
hold
I
your
gave
hands like this when you're fighting. I
look,
just
look,
go right. I just go right up the center.
okay, let's say I stole $1,000 from you, but I then came back and I gave you $200. Would you be saying to me, Ben, thank you so much for giving me this gift of $200? Or would you be saying, F you, you stole $800 from me? So, what the MAGA Republicans are doing is they took away I just want you to think about what sociopaths they are. They took away $200 billion in funding from rural hospitals. 200 they take. They gave 50 billion back, meaning they took away $150 billion. And then they celebrate, we gave you $50 billion.
Right.
That's why, again, remove Democrat, remove Republican, remove independent. These human beings, they're sociopaths.
Yeah.
And even where Marjorie Taylor Greene calls them out. And Marjorie Taylor Greene said today again, she goes, I don't know what healthcare plan Mike Johnson is talking about. I've never seen one. Do I need to go to a SCIF, like a classified information facility for sensitive information? Because I've never seen this plan. And when you have Marjorie Taylor Greene calling this out, and I start saying, look, I disagree with her on literally everything, but what she's saying about this is accurate. They don't have a healthcare plan and costs are going up. That's all she's saying. And now she's like an enemy in that party, which is wild. But
She is the North Star of the GOP as it relates to being reasonable and balanced. And you say to yourself, how is this possible? MAGA, right? Marjorie Taylor Greene, who you know how hard I have been on her since we started this program of Political Beatdown, right? I mean, we're not talking about somebody who is not MAGA to the core. Two things have pissed Marjorie Taylor Greene off. And by the way, it's the same two things, Ben, that you and I talk about that pisses us off. One, where the fuck is that Epstein crime file? Why is it that that Epstein crime file has not been released, despite the fact that they talked about it for a year and a half, 2 years, that the second that they get in, they're releasing it, yada, yada, yada. They want the file. She wants that file released. So do I. So does everybody out there that cares about justice for these victims. That's number one. Number two, she talks about health care. She's feeling what a lot of MAGA right now are feeling. She's understanding that, you know what? Maybe what they're doing isn't beneficial to me. Soy farmers, cattle farmers, ranchers. All of a sudden, great-grandpappy's property that's been basically farmed by them for 200 plus years is now going to become collateral to a bank that doesn't care about anybody, doesn't care about them. They can't make a living. They need, yet again, another government bailout. And they don't want bailouts. They want to be able to make an honest wage and have an honest living and to take care of their property. So she understands, because she talks about how her own kids are going to see an increase in their health coverage by over 100%. And she's pissed about it, and rightfully so. By the way, we all should be pissed about it. And it's hard to believe that the sensible one in that group is Marjorie Taylor Greene. But you know what? If I was wearing a hat, I'd take my hat off to her. She's 100% correct.
You see, that's where, though, you and I and this network is guided by logic and facts. I don't have a personal distaste of Marjorie Taylor Greene, like in terms of divorced from her views of the world. I don't look at the way she presents and says, you look this way, therefore I don't like you, which, by the way, is what MAGA does to everybody. you look this way, your skin color's this way, you talk this way, you're affiliated with this party, you're part of this marginalized group. We don't like you. It's been her policies and her plans and the harm that she's inflicted and the meanness and the conspiracies that she's spewed. That's the reason for the strong condemnation of her behavior. It's based on her conduct and based on the merit or the lack thereof when it relates to her. But when she or any Republican says something that is objectively true, I will say that it's true. If it's true, if that's what the facts are.
And we would say the same thing if it was Trump himself saying it. You know, Ben, two things. One, your camera's still a little bit blurry. So like here with me here in New York, Spectrum sucks. But putting all that aside, I do want to say that one thing that when Ben and I decided to start Political Beatdown, the thing that we turned around and said, we're not going to couch, not for the positives and not for the negatives. If Trump went out and spoke to a Japanese business delegation, imagine you're there in Japan and you're meeting with some of Japan's richest people, and you start talking about how you won the 2020 election. You start talking about how tariffs are a good thing, how the farmers are all thanking me. You start talking about all of the nonsense, the talking points, as if he was here in the United States of America at one of his rallies. And if you have the video, taking a look at the faces of some of these Japanese businessmen that were fortunate enough to get the invite to be in that room, it's priceless. They're almost looking and they're like, wait, is this fucking for real or are we being punked? Is this like, what was that, Candid Camera? Like, is he going to say anything about maybe Japan? Oh, yeah, he talked about Toyota investing, here we go again, $550 billion into the United States of America. It's now 550 billion more that they have said they're going to start building plants all over America, Toyota. So the question that I keep asking, we've now heard in excess of $20 trillion of foreign investment coming into America. Ben, the question I want to ask you, because I haven't been able to locate this, stay with me for a second. Hopefully, yeah. Over $20 trillion of foreign investment coming into this country. According to Trump, it's already here. Can you name one project that has actually broken ground? I'm not even talking about ordering the machinery that you would need in order to manufacture a car. Not one vehicle, of course, has come off an assembly line, but it takes about 5 years to build a proper plant. From the day that you go ahead and break ground to the day that the first vehicle comes off the assembly line, it's a little bit more than 5 years. So with any of the money that Trump has claimed, $20 trillion plus now, can you name one project that is at least even shovel ready that has broken ground? Because I can't find that.
No, the one that was breaking ground and training staff was created under Biden with South Korea in Georgia. And Trump sent ICE agents to round up the South Korean workers at the battery plant right after the South Korea president arrived and literally destroyed the $9 billion plant. That was the one project, even the layup that he could try to take credit for something Biden did. He sent his idiotic Gestapo to raid it and cuff and torture the South Koreans, who then left and now created a major diplomatic incident there that no one wants to come back to the United States. Now, Cohen, here's an important point, though, as you said, as we said, look, and people are like, oh, does Trump do, you guys just hate Trump on everything and blah, 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 blah. Look, go back to 2 weeks ago. no, it was about a month ago at this point, when Trump announced the ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas. It was not a peace deal. We were very clear in our language, but what we said on this show, go back and watch it. We said, if Trump could actually secure a lasting ceasefire and a peace deal, that is a good thing. That would be a good outcome, and he'd be able to achieve something that really no one else has achieved. What we also said in our reporting is that the data didn't match the representations of what this was. The representations was historic peace deal, that there's now peace in the Middle East, that Israel and Hamas has agreed to everything, and that there'll be no violence there ever again. What we said is hostages returned. That's good. That should be applauded. 83% of the hostages were returned under Biden. Biden didn't spike the football. The idea of a ceasefire, good. But what we said was Israel and Hamas didn't agree to the deal. They're not signatories on the deal. The deal doesn't address the central issue, a free Palestine. It doesn't address a two-state solution. So Hamas's view was it doesn't have to disarm. It's in control. No changes, essentially. Israel, under Netanyahu's view, is no two-state solution. In fact, increased settlements into Gaza, potentially even the West Bank and others. And so all we said on the show is those are the facts. Wouldn't it be great if you can get a two-state solution? If you do, then maybe you give Trump the Nobel Peace Prize, or two-state solution is big if you could secure that.
And we still applauded every single person who had the hand in working to bring these hostages home, those that are alive and those that are deceased. We also turned around and said, good for him for having his people assist in ensuring that aid flows into Gaza so that women, men, children, everybody doesn't starve, right? And that they start to rebuild, they start to take down some of the structures that are completely damaged beyond obvious repair. These are all good things. And we acknowledged it, and we applauded the effort, and we applauded the positive effort that was done.
Cohen, where we are today.
Hold on, before we get to where we are today, the one thing that Ben and I absolutely 100% did is we needed to point out that instead of taking that as a win, which it is a win, bringing home the hostages, win. Getting aid to flow into Gaza, it's a win. That win wasn't enough for him. It has to be a totality. It's all over. We now have peace in the Middle East. It's peace in the Middle East. And it's just tacking on another. We're now up to 8 wars that I have stopped. 8 wars. You all know that, right? Joe, you know, 8. Mary, Ben, right? 8 wars and so on. No. And now, Ben, kindly tell us what's happening today.
Well, there's probably been, since the announcement of the ceasefire, potentially close to 100 Palestinians who were killed. Hamas didn't disarm and retook control. Israel's Knesset passed a resolution talking about annexing the West Bank. There were strikes today in Gaza City by Israel saying Hamas violated the ceasefire. Hamas blames Israel for violating the ceasefire. Gaza's on fire right now. And that's what we warned was likely going to happen based on the fact that this ceasefire agreement, as it was called, did not even address the fundamental issues that were at play, which is what happens after the hostages are returned. And how do we avoid additional situations where there is what's been taking place? So how do we deal with that? And if you don't address, when Trump was asked the question, do you believe there should be a two-state solution? He goes, I'm just going to go with whatever the people who did the deal did. You know, well, aren't you the person who did the deal? How do you not address a free Palestine? How do you not say that and agree to that as a fundamental principle, living side by side with the free Israel? So anyway, I think it's important that we point that out, because if Trump really brought in $20 trillion, That would be incredible, because then we should all be able to have free healthcare.
There should be no government
everybody.
shutdown.
There would not need to be a government shutdown. We would not be running out of money. We would be so wealthy as a nation if you added on top of the 26, 27, third, whatever, $32 billion GDP.
$28.2 trillion GDP.
If you added on another 20 trillion and that was injected into the economy, I mean, I think that it would be every American would get a dividend check if they wanted to of $75,000 to $100,000 per person. It would fix everything. So to me, that's what's so sinister about the number also. It's not just he lies about everything and yeah, he does. But we're in a shutdown right now, and the tactics he deploys are that of Bernie Madoff at a massive nuclear bomb scale. He's a con artist in the fashion of the Bernie Madoffs and the Ponzi schemers, but it's with our economy, and Republicans in the House and Senate go along with it, as does our Supreme Court. All right, Cohen, I want to take our first quick break of the show. When we return, I don't know if you know this, Cohen, but Donald Trump got the most perfect MRI. No one's got a more perfect MRI than his MRI, he says. He's confirmed that he got that advanced imaging in the medical files meant MRI. I want to talk more about what's going on in Asia. I want to contrast Prime Minister Carney's speech with Donald Trump's speech. And for those wondering, it's not my camera that's bad. It's my internet. My camera is perfect. The issue is I record from home so I could be with my baby girl. If I have to go move to an office, it defeated the whole purpose of my building an office so I can be with my little girl. So I got to figure that out, but I want to address that. It's actually the Spectrum Wi-Fi. And after I do these episodes, I call them up every time, very upset, because if I don't get to see my baby girl, it would be very sad for me not to be with her during the day. On that note, didn't mean to make you feel bad for saying my camera's not working well, but that's the sad reality of it. Reminder, subscribe to Michael Cohen's YouTube channel, The Michael Cohen Show, and the Mea Culpa audio as well, wherever you get your audio podcast. Subscribe to Michael Cohen on Substack. He does great Substacks.
I have Adam Mockler on right now as the guest, by the way, who's fantastic. He is such a bright young man. He's really a shining star.
The future of Midas Touch, Adam Mockler. We'll be right back after this quick message.
You know, I still love a good night out, but I'm not always in the mood to drink. Luckily, I found a great alternative. Sol's out-of-office gummies. They give me that same light, happy buzz without the hangover, without sugar, or the 3 a.m. text to someone I swore I'd never talk to again. But here's the truth. I used to think relaxing meant a glass of something strong and a bad decision or two. Now, it means nothing more than popping a gummy, throwing on some music, and actually remembering what I watched on Netflix. These things hit the sweet spot, make you mellow, happy, with zero drama. Sol is a wellness brand that believes feeling good should be fun and easy. They specialize in delicious hemp-derived THC and CBD products that boost your mood and help you unwind. Their out-of-office gummies are my go-to, mild, relaxing, and totally customizable. You can take a microdose and keep it chill, or go for the 15 milligram if you're looking to see colors in high definition. And if you like to sip, not chew, try the out-of-office beverage, refreshing, alcohol-free, and perfect for pretending you're drinking responsibly, because this time you actually are. And everything's made from organically farmed, USA-grown hemp, vegan, gluten-free, low in sugar, and yes, it's federally legal. So bring on the good vibes and treat yourself to Sol today. And right now, Sol is offering my audience 30% off your entire order. So go to getsol.com, that's GETSOUL.com, and use code BEAT, B-E-A-T. That's getsol.com, promo code BEAT for 30% off. And trust me, this is the kind of buzz that never makes headlines. I got to tell you about my neighbor's cat. You know, the one I always talk about, Marlo. I mean, this guy is a total character. Last week, I watched him sniff around my kitchen like an inspector, judging everything. I mean, I swear, if he could talk, he'd be reviewing restaurants on Yelp. And you know what? I realized something. Marlo deserves the best. And that's where Smalls comes in. Even though I don't feed him, I know he'd go crazy for it because Smalls is real protein-packed, preservative-free food that cats actually love. I mean, imagine Marlo doing a taste test. 2 bowls side by side. One with mystery kibble, one with Smalls. Guaranteed, he wouldn't even glance at the kibble. Go straight for Smalls. Nose twitching, tail flicking, the full Marlo seal of approval. So know this, that Smalls started in 2017. 2 people cooking in small batches for friends' cats, and now they've served millions of meals. Fresh, healthy recipes that give cats shinier fur, more energy, fewer hairballs, and a litter box that doesn't make you question life choices. And if your cat doesn't love it, Smalls will refund you. No risk, no questions. So here's the deal. For a limited time, because you're a Political Beatdown listener, you're going to get 60% off your first order plus free shipping. So go right now to smalls.com/beat. That's Smalls, SMALLS.com/beat for 60% off plus free shipping. Treat your cat, or just imagine Marlo enjoying every bite. It's worth it.
A good ad read there, Michael Cohen.
Thank
Really
you very
good
much,
ad
Ben.
read. Let me show you this clip right here.
I
This
think for
is
the next
Donald
one, I'm
Trump.
going to put on my radio voice.
Let's hear the
Marlo likes to go and to have Smalls. Smalls is a wonderful.
I think your normal voice is your radio voice. Let's. I just want to show the contrast in the past 24 or 48 hours between Trump and a leader like Prime Minister Carney in Canada, who's actually uses complete sentences and just to show you the contrast here of leadership, of character. So you have Donald Trump at a naval base in Japan, and Trump says that basically we need to replace our entire naval fleet with steamships because Donald Trump likes the way the steamships used to look. So he wants to see the steam coming out of the ships. Here, play this clip.
I'm going to put it in order. Seriously. They're spending billions of dollars to build stupid electric. And the problem, when it breaks, you have to send up to MIT, get the most brilliant people in the world, fly them out. It's ridiculous. The steam, they said they can fix it with a hammer and a blowtorch. And it works just as well, if not better. And I love the sight of that beautiful steam pouring off that deck with the electric. You don't have that. So, we did the Ford and electric, the cost overruns, everything else. But, I hope it's going to be okay. But I like steam. We're going to go back to steam. They change just for the sake of changing. I said to the architect, have you ever designed a ship before? He only did the biggest ship in the world, right? The Ford. But we're going to go back. Okay, now.
No. The reason why it changed from steam to nuclear, why it's changed from steam to a hybrid of fuel and electric. It's called technology, right? I mean, remember the old original cars ran off of steam. A lot of people don't realize that initially cars, right, when they were originally built, many of them, started running off steam because they thought it was obviously cheaper than the gasoline, and it was obviously something that somebody worked on, and it propelled the engine, and next thing you know, you were moving. Okay, great. Let me be very clear. Technology is why you now have, for example, Teslas, and you have all of these other different cars, Ford, the Volt. You have all the car companies now manufacturing vehicles that are EVs because, again, it's an advancement in technology. He wants to go back to a time with clean coal where you're going to have, these members sitting there with a shovel, basically shoveling coal. There's a reason why our railroads don't run on coal anymore, on steam. It's because technology has basically made it worthless. That's why.
Then he says that grocery prices are down. Let's play this clip.
Very important. After years of crippling inflation, back home we had the worst inflation in the history of our country. Energy costs are down. Energy costs are way down. Gasoline prices are way down. Grocery prices are way down. We have a little problem with beef. We're going to get that down very quickly, but the prices are way down. Mortgage rates are down despite having an incompetent head of the Fed. I call him too late. He's always too late. He's too late in lowering interest rates. I call him Jerome Too Late Powell. But despite having a totally grossly incompetent guy, we have we blow through it because we're doing so well.
Then he says inflation has been totally defeated. Here, play this clip.
Because we're doing so well. Inflation has been defeated, and workers' wages are rising at the fastest pace in 60 years, and that includes your wages. They're rising in the fastest pace. The workers, I'm not talking about the rich people. Rich people, everyone's doing well. Everyone in our country is now doing well. My first term, we built the greatest economy in the history of the world. We had an economy like nobody has seen before. Now we're doing it again, but this time actually it's going to be much bigger, much stronger. I told you $17 trillion, but it's going to be $21 trillion. And that's numbers that have never been heard of before. Much bigger than any other country in the world by literally $16 trillion.
And once again, there's nothing about it that's true. Every single word that he said is a lie, perhaps except no one's ever heard numbers like this before because it is a lie.
You know, Ben, it's crazy because you're telling people how great that they're doing, except you're now also acknowledging that you needed somebody who, of course, is going to ask for a favor back from this administration to put up $130 million so that these members of the armed services can get paid. I mean, with the government shutdown, I'm just sort of, if you go to the grocery store, how many of you that are with us right now have within the last couple of days been to the grocery store? Do you, like me, see how much more everything is costing? Before, for $100, you would come home with a bag full of groceries. Now, you're somewhere around 50% of the bag full. And it's not because you're buying stuff that's more expensive. You're buying the exact same thing. Same thing is happening when you go to the Amazons, the Walmarts, the Costcos, the Myers, the big box stores, right? Where everything is costing more, and by a lot. So you know the truth. And yet, the guy still will stand up because nobody will challenge what he's saying. Not one person turned around. I mean, this is basically a speech. You're a captive audience. There's no questions, which is also why, and I think we have to be very cognizant, when you start allowing certain individuals to buy up all of the media, all of it, from newspapers to television, etc., and that person happens to be a Trump supporter or a MAGA, and that they only see news one way, well, it's going to be very difficult to break state-sponsored news when everybody is basically repeating the lie. And that's where independent networks like Midas Touch come in. I can't tell you how dangerous, Ben, I'm serious. I talk about it all the time. When you start watching the conglomerations now of all of these media sources, whether it's cable news media, mainstream media, and they go ahead and they are now, just adding one after the other after the other. Well, what happens when, for example, they continue to spew the lie? When all of a sudden they tell you, right, in the newspaper that coffee is down. It's not $20 for a fucking jar. It's $7. And, well, tell me where the $7 is, because I just bought a can and it cost me $20. So just tell me where I have to go. And then you look it up, you start Googling it, and then it says the same $20 everywhere, and you can't find the $9 one. Oh, yeah, here's $9, but it's a small bag that's only like 3 ounces worth. That's the whole problem. And now we have to worry about mainstream and cable news, all of them, including newspapers and so on. It's why independent networks like Midas Touch are becoming the places to go for your news. Because here, like Ben and I said at the very beginning of this episode, if he does something good, I will say so. I will praise him for doing something good. If he does something that's bad, I will also speak equally harsh.
You know, Trump got the most perfect MRI as well. Let's play it.
What'd you expect?
The readout from Walter Reed mentioned advanced medical imaging. Did you get an MRI? Can you tell us what
I
that
did.
was?
I got an MRI. It was perfect. Yeah.
Can you tell us
I mean,
what-
I gave you the full results. We had an MRI, and in the machine, you know, the whole thing,
Yeah.
and it was perfect.
Can
Yeah.
you say what in particular they were?
You could ask the doctors. In fact, we have doctors traveling with us, but I think they gave you a very conclusive. Nobody has ever given you reports like I gave you. And if I didn't think it was going to be good, either I would let you know negatively. I wouldn't run. I'd do something. But the doctor said some of the best reports for the age, some of the best reports they've ever seen.
No, what he meant by MRI is my rectum's inflamed because there's so much shit coming out of it. It is absolutely absurd. I mean, what do you mean you have a perfect MRI? Who has a perfect MRI of anything? I don't even know. By the way, what body part did they even MRI?
Yeah. Well, serial MRIs are often used when someone has a mini stroke, if they have, I mean, one of the things that we know is these cardiovascular issues, this chronic venous insufficiency that we've seen with the hands and with the legs. In any event, I mean, we all get it. That's what Trump was doing in Asia. And then he was doing the stupid dance. Contrast that to Prime Minister Carney. Here's what Prime Minister Carney said during a press conference as he left the ASEAN conference in Malaysia. Here's what he says. Let's play it.
Hi, Prime Minister. Sarah Ritchie with the Canadian Press. Have you had any contact with President Trump since Thursday?
I have not.
Given that President Trump said today on Air Force One, I don't know if you heard this, but in the last hour, he said he doesn't plan to meet with you for a long time. Is it worth continuing to pursue a discussion, a meeting, a phone call with him at this point?
I didn't see the comment. Look, we stand ready to sit down with the United States, myself with the President, my colleagues with their colleagues, when the U.S. is ready to sit down. We had made considerable progress on a supplement to the trading relationship that we had, considerable progress in the areas of steel, aluminum, and energy, associated areas as well. And as I just said, we're ready to sit down when they are ready to do that. If they're not ready to do that, as those comments indicate, then we were always going to do these things, to be clear. We're going to first and foremost build our economy, build it with generational investments, and you will see that not just the scale of ambition, but the speed with which we put that into effect in the budget on November 4th, and continue to do what we've been doing over the course of the last few days and over the course of recent months, which is to build those other partnerships and deepen those other partnerships on which we're getting very much traction. Thank you.
Next question, Murray.
Here, Prime
I mean,
Minister.
he's truly a statesman. He looks like a statesman, he speaks like a statesman, and he acts like a statesman. I think that's the three most important things for, a statesman.
Well, and just think about the contrast. You know, Donald Trump's background, bankrupting numerous companies, fraud, felon, sexual abuse, again, running a number of companies into the ground, schemer, you know, all of that. That's his background. On the other hand, Carney, central banker. He led the Bank of Canada through the Great Recession, led Bank of England through Brexit. He was called in to deal with these crises and then basically called to service to deal with this dynamic between the United States threatening Canadian sovereignty. And he's handling it, I think, as good as you can. And, you know, what he's said is the old relationship with the United States is over. It's done. And right now, he sees no distinction. Canada sees no distinction between a trading relationship with China and the United States. In fact, if anything, China is a more reliable partner, and Canada is now making moves to remove its 100% tariffs on China's electric vehicles which was done at the behest of the United States, as the US wanted to protect its electric car market. And the interesting thing is, as Donald Trump guts the electric car market here, which America wanted to be more competitive than China's, Donald Trump's destroying the tax deductions associated with electric vehicles right now and the subsidies with electric vehicles, which is very difficult for the EV industry here. China has a booming EV business with cars like, or automobile makers like BYD, where you can get a great EV for $10,000, $15,000. So people are like, well, if you can do that, why are they not here? Because the United States and Canada put trade barriers to protect our electric vehicle and automakers here in the United States from China dumping or bring, because it would destroy, because they're so far ahead of the curve, our auto manufacturers here. Well, now that's out the window. So Canada is going to say, okay, we're going to China. We'll get the EVs from there.
You know, Ben, we have another issue that I think we really do have to explore, and that's Trump and his acolytes, his enablers, misunderstanding of how significant a trading partner Canada currently is. Our second biggest trading partner, our closest trading partner, to be honest. Why are they so important? Not just as a trading partner, but for our own economy as well. Aluminum, which is used in the production of electricity, is manufactured predominantly in Canada. Most of the aluminum that we bring in is coming from Canada, and so is a ton of steel. It's not just aluminum and steel, but you also have soft lumber, which is the wood that you always see being used in construction, right? So if you now are jacking up the price of soft lumber, if Canada will even sell it to America, listen, the rest of the world needs lumber too. So instead of just shipping it here to America, they'll just ship it someplace else. I mean, when you have that type of a product and the world needs it, you will just sell it to someone else. But here's the real kick in the ass. Ready for this one? How about, most people aren't aware that the bulk of the northeast of the United States is actually powered by the electrical grid coming out of Ontario. So the way Trump used to talk about, for example, shutting off the spigot or turning on the spigot in California, which is what saved California from burning to the ground in some apocalyptic, I don't know, thought process. If Canada truly wanted to, they could remove the northeast of the United States from their electrical grid, and we would have no way within which to power tens and hundreds of thousands of homes throughout the entire Northeast, because we do not have that grid capability. So I'm not sure I understand the reason to pick a fight with people who don't generally like to fight. You know, Ben, half my family live in Toronto. They're the kindest people on the planet. I don't think I've had a fight with any of my cousins ever, simply because they just don't fight as a people. They're just not like New Yorkers, where we fight over everything. They don't fight over anything. They just want to get along. They just want everybody to be happy. And that's the difference. Look at, again, the way Carney holds himself versus, for example, even like Scott Bessent. Two people that had very similar types of jobs.
And the contrast cannot be more stark. Here's Carney again. Let's show you the other clip of him.
Do you really think the United States is interested in making a trade deal with Canada?
Look, we are their second largest trading partner. We provide a series of essential goods for their economy. We are one of many providers, but we provide in some areas essential goods for their economy. And we create more room for them to do other things. I'll give you an example. If you look at Canadian exports of aluminum to the United States, and aluminum is bauxite and energy. I mean, there's a little more to it, but can simplify it to that. The embedded energy in the Canadian aluminum exports, which provides 60% of the aluminum to the U.S. market, is the equivalent of the energy of 10 Hoover dams in the United States. Now, is the best use of that scale of energy, creating that scale of energy to make aluminum in the United States, as opposed to continue to foster and power the AI revolution, which the U.S. is leading, or power homes and others. I mean, these are decisions for the United States to make. Point being, as a supplier to the United States, and I gave aluminum as one, I could give many examples, we are an important supplier in many areas. As well, we are a large customer. For over 30 states, Canada is the largest export customer for those states in the United States. So there is a very strong, deep trading relationship, and there is an alignment of interests in many areas. And that's the reason why we have elements of the arrangements that we have today with a large degree of low tariff trade and the benefits from that. We're ready to have those discussions to further improve them, and we'll have them when it's appropriate. But we're not resting, because we can build. The return on building at home is far greater than the hit from trade turbulence with the United States. And the opportunities internationally are considerable. And candidly, Canada has not focused on the relationships to the same extent as we should have in any trading environment with the United States, let alone a situation where they're changing their trade policy. And that's what we're doing now.
Next question. Question Kessa.
I wanted to play the full clip because it's cathartic to watch someone speak like that.
I was going to say, how nice is it that he's not calling out Trudeau, right? He's not insulting anybody. He's not doing the, two-fisted giraffe jerk-off dance to the YMCA. I mean, for God's sakes. I mean, that is why I said the man is truly a statesman. Look, I'm unhappy with what the United States is doing, ruining this wonderful relationship that has existed for an extremely long period of time. We're very disappointed. We love America. We hope that he calls. We hope that we can mend these fences. But in the interim, we're moving on. We're not going to be, hand-tied based upon, Trump's actions, which basically change every single day. Just the calmness, the ease that, this man takes the podium to, the answering of the questions, factually accurate, spot on point, without all of the rhetoric, with all of the hyperbole, without all of the angst that comes with everything. And it's not just Trump who's doing it. It's all of his enablers across the board. You listen to Pam Bondi talk, you listen to Marco Rubio, you listen to Shady Vance, you listen to MAGA Mike Johnson. Each one of them just gives you anxiety and gives you like this stress that just is all unnecessary. But this is what we have to deal with, because too many people chose not to vote. Too many people turned around and said, yeah, you know what? I don't like what the guy is saying, but I can't vote for a black woman. Sure. You know what? As they always say, right, Ben? FAFO.
Yeah. And I saw a comment too that watched the Carney clip, and someone said, kind of boring, to be honest, but I get what you're saying. And I want to remind people that that's
boring.
Politics and the way a diligent statesman or stateswoman should be carried out should be methodical. And I don't want to see, as you call it, what do you call it?
The WWE SmackDown.
What do you call the Trump?
The two-fisted giraffe jerk-off dance.
Yeah, but why is it giraffe? Because of the height of the giraffe? Got it. Who are you going to give the two from? Who are you going to give the?
Ben, because listen, I know that every single brigader that's with us right now says it has to go to the president, right? It has to go to Trump and so on. But every episode can do, and we made a deal that it's not going to go to him, right? So who else technically is there other than the entire group of enablers that are around him that are permitting this to happen, that are pushing this to happen, that are creating this divisiveness, this level of stupidity that we all have to wake up to, this chaos, whether it's Bessent lying. And by the way, did you see Trump pointing out to Bessent? He's doing a great job. He's doing a great job. Doing a great job. And then he stands up to take a bow and so on. The fuck is going on with with the people that are running our country? It's a true and total embarrassment across the board. So Ben, I'm not 100% certain that I can give it to just one individual as opposed to all of these enablers that are absolutely making a complete bunch of fools out of themselves. But worse than making fools out of themselves, they're making America look stupid. And
so you got to give it to two people. You can give the 2-finger giraffe.
It's got to go to it's got to go against Mike Johnson and Scott Bessent. Two total fucking idiots. Bessent and MAGA Mike Johnson, two lying sacks of shit that have no qualm about getting up in front of a podium and lying to the American people to stay on message. And so to you two idiots, fuck you both.
There you have it. Always leave on a positive note on Political Beatdown. A reminder to subscribe to Michael Cohen's YouTube channel, The Michael Cohen Show. Subscribe to Michael Cohen's Substack. Subscribe to Michael Cohen's other podcast, Mea Culpa, on audio, wherever you get your audio podcasts. Subscribe there. Always a pleasure doing this show with you, Michael Cohen, and spending time with you, the Beatdown Brigaders. We appreciate you. I hear you. I'll call Spectrum up after this. I'll let them know that a lot of Brigaders are mad at me, but you know what? They don't listen to me, so we'll do my best, though. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Shout out Beatdown Brigaders, and shout out Midas Mighty. Thanks, everybody.
Boom.